Mino Raiola announced on Sunday that Paul Pogba was staying at Manchester United, Robo, and that maybe talks for a new deal would start and maybe he could even extend his deal. If you were Pogba, would you be okay to stay, happy to stay? And if you were Ed Woodward, would that be a good deal for you to keep him and extend his deal?
I think I would say yes to both counts. I think Paul Pogba has started to show everybody what a great player he can be, because when he was at Juventus, I thought he was the best midfield player in the world at times. When he at the World Cup, when he was dominating matches with his combination of strength, his ability to run beyond people, his ability to manipulate the ball, to find a pass. Some of his passing is magnificent. I think he needs to play week in, week out, get away from the injuries that he's had, but you can't avoid that sometimes. But I think it'd be good for him to stay and prove that he is a top-class player for Manchester United. And I think Manchester United should keep him, because without him, I don't think they can go on to that next level. To get somebody in to replace him, what are you going to have to spend? He can still be the world's best midfield player if they can get the best out of him.
And I think he helps, if you're Raiola and Pogba, of staying, because you know that there might not be anyone bringing the money to United right now to come and get you. Real Madrid is his dream, but they're not going to spend 100 million on him this summer. They don't have that money, and they don't want to anyway. So it's good for you, for your own strategy in a way, to say like, okay, we're going to stay. Let's open talks for a new deal, and it works. But I think he's convinced also by the project. If they go and sign Sancho, plus what they've built this season, I think he knows that this could be an exciting thing to be part of.
Does Solskjaer's success encourage him to stay, or is it?
I think there's a bit of that.
He gets on well with him.
Yes, definitely, and he had him when he was a reserve coach at United, so they've known each other for so long. So I think that works as well together. Well, Ben Chilwell is expected to join Chelsea this week after a deal was agreed between Chelsea and Leicester. Is £50 million right price for you for a player like Chilwell?
2 years ago, I'd have laughed you out of the room, because I watched him play in Toulon for the under-21s,
yes,
and I think he was England's least impressive player. He looked very nervous, and when Christian Fuchs couldn't play, he came into the side, and I thought he looked nervous, he looked weak, he didn't defend particularly well. But that's all changed over the last couple of years. He's grown in confidence. He looks as though he can do everything. He looks like Luke Shaw did when he was at Southampton. And so 50 million's probably a little bit too much, but he's still going to be an exceptional left-back, whether he's in a left wing-back position or whether he's a normal left-back. I think it'd be a great success for Chelsea.
And 50 million seems to be the price. Walker, Mendy, Wan-Bissaka, more or less that kind of amount price for fullbacks.
Sort of wages you've earned over the last couple of weeks. Now, Thiago Silva, another Chelsea target. Thiago Silva to Chelsea. Do you think that's a good move for him or for the club and for the club?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to say a big thank you to Thiago Silva. He gave 8 years to PSG. He was great. Of course, there were lows, but there was a lot of highs as well. I thought he did well against Bayern in a tough game against Lewandowski, and I think I would have loved him to lift that trophy for his last ever PSG game. It was not to be, but I think he would be good for Chelsea because he's got that experience and he's free as well. I mean, he will have a signing on fee and high wages, but in the sense that if you put all your money on Chilwell and Havertz, for example, and then you're still in the centre back, he's there, not costing you anything in transfer fees. I think that's a really good deal, even if he's 35. I think there's so much experience there. He's a really great character, personality to have in your dressing room.
So would you say that's his greatest strength at the moment? His experience, his character, his knowledge?
Yeah,
to lead the other Chelsea centre-halves?
Yeah, and I think the younger centre-halves will learn from him a lot, even if the language might be a little bit of a barrier at some point, but that can
we
be
have
sorted.
No problem.
Yeah, we don't have a problem. But I think, and physically, he's still so fit. And maybe the pace of the Premier League might be an issue. Maybe he will have to adapt a little bit. I don't know how many games he would play, but I expect this deal to go through, and I expect it to be a good signing.
It looks set that Conte's going to leave. Allegri may be taking charge. What do you think about that?
It's interesting because after the game, he gave a long interview to Sky Italia, Conte, saying like, this has been really hard for me this season, for my family. And you really sense the frustration that he had in him. And I think he will leave the club. There's a big meeting on Tuesday. Tomorrow, we're recording this on Monday. And I think he will leave. I don't know if it's because maybe he feels the project is not right up there for him. And you and I talked about that on the ESPN FC show a couple of days ago. If what makes him unhappy? I don't really know, because they've got money. This is a good squad already. This is a positive season. Second in the league. Final of the Europa League. It could have gone much better. Maybe he's frustrated that Juve were there for the taking and they sort of missed that chance. And maybe he was disappointed by his own tactics, as we've been saying, in that final. I don't know, but But it's a strange one. Why would you leave?
I think he's a coach now that's had so much success. Remember, he won 3 titles on the trot. He then did very well with Italy, with a very poor side at the European
Euros,
Championships. Then he goes to Chelsea and wins the title in his first season, then has a poor second, so he then throws his toys out the pram and leaves. And I think he expected to go and challenge this season. And when he doesn't, he makes every other excuse. I love him as a coach. I'm not sure about his management skills.
Robo, Alexander Seferin, the UEFA president, told media on Sunday that UEFA are thinking about maybe keeping this one-legged format and not go back to the home and away, two-legged knockout stages. What would you do if you were the UEFA president?
Well, from a personal point of view, it halves my money for the games that I do, so I wouldn't be too happy with it. But in terms of entertainment,
Good point.
In terms of entertainment, I think it's been magnificent. Is he talking about doing it on neutral territory like they have done on this, or is he talking about, one team gets home advantage? That's the big question.
That was a bit more in the air. I think they like the idea of a Final 8 somewhere where you can bring all the fans when it's safe to do, and you've got different stadiums, because what I thought about the final last night, the pitch at the Stadio della Luz was really bad. For a game like this, for two teams who are so good technically, but of course it would be bad because you've played so many games in such a short... So if you think about it a bit differently, and maybe you have more stadiums than just 2 like in Lisbon.
Or the other thing you can do is that to put more pressure on the group games, the team that ends up top of the group gets home advantage against a team who comes second in the next group. So that would, and then when they go through, that advantage still stays.
And what do you say to people though who rightly so point out that last season the home and away was fantastic? The Spurs Ajax game, the City Spurs game, the Barca Liverpool games, those were there. They were so good because it was home and away over 2 legs.
I think they'll stick with the home and away legs. I think that's how European football has been for many, many years. I think they'll stick with it because it has worked. The Champions League has always been a good competition. I think everybody's been desperate for football to come back and see top quality football, which we saw over the last few weeks. But it's been a novelty more than and I think they will go back to the 2-legged ties.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.